Just over a month ago, I asked you for your item ideas, and I left the form open until recently. I've finally had some free time to make this video and take a look at all the entries. The vast majority of this video will be unscripted, so buckle up for some stupidity. Before getting into the items, all my links and socials, as usual, are in the pinned comment and the description. So, to start off with, we have item 1. So for the first item, we have Festerfeast Serum, which is a bit of a tongue twister. It seems to give 40 physical power, 10 physical penetration, and 10% omnivamp. Has 2 passives, Fester and Feast, kind of going with the name there. Dealing physical damage to an enemy reduces their healing and regeneration by 40%. And the Feast one, you gain all healing and regeneration prevented by Festerfeast Serum. That is quite strong in terms of the denial of healing, and also then you healing based on what you've denied. You also then have a 10% omnivamp. I think maybe you could drop the omnivamp. I think that would be fair, considering how strong the passives are. Other than that, it seems like a pretty cool idea. And you have submitted an item image even. So let's have a look. Alright, yep, no, that kind of makes sense. It's a serum. Yeah, I stole this image because I can't draw. I also like it. Yeah, I just noticed you've blocked out the top bit, so you can't see what it's actually meant to be. Nice. That's some nice appropriation. But no, it does fit what you wanted it to be, so that's fair. So let's move on to item 2. Pyro Blast. Holy, 3,000 gold. Okay, that's pricey. 30 magical damage, 8 magical armor, 2 physical armor. Active. You shoot a fireball, dealing 110 plus 25% magical damage, which I assume you mean like ability power. And then magical damage, and then set the target ablaze, dealing 30 magical damage every second for 5 seconds, with a 90-second cooldown. That sounds strong. Depending on who has that and how strong they are, that could be really quite overpowered in a way. I'm just trying to think of 25% magical damage, and then for 5 seconds how much that would add up to in terms of, you know, a non-tank's health. But no, that does sound pretty good, and maybe the 3,000 gold would balance it anyway, because that is a lot of moolah. That would basically make your build really, really expensive. But no, that seems pretty cool. I'd be interested to see how that would work out. The third item that we have is called Goblin's Crest, which sounds like a starter item, considering the Crests in Predecessor are starter items. It's 400 gold, so yeah, that sounds about right. Get 8 physical damage, and it has 2 passives, which I have had to stop and read because it does get kind of complicated. You gain a stack of greed upon an enemy or enemy minion kill that lasts for 15 seconds and stacks up to 3 stacks. For each stack of greed you have, the next enemy or enemy minion kill will grant you 2 times the number of stacks of greed in gold. Enemies or enemy minions that you do not finish near you will grant 2 times the number of stacks of greed gold deduction from you. So that's like a really big double-edged sword. Based on what I can read on that, there's not. The one thing I wish they'd have clarified is whether you get the gold when the stack is active or whether it's when it's finished. Because I'm unsure whether you can gain stacks while killing enemy minions while having a stack, or whether the killing of whether killing an enemy minion or person, you know, kind of redeems the stacks to give you the gold. I assume you can still stack while having stacks. This is why I needed to stop and read it, because it boggled my mind. It's too early. But yeah, it sounds interesting. It's a very big double-edged sword though, which is good in a way, because you do need some items like that. Could do with a little clarification, but based on what I can read into that, it sounds fun. Painful with potential, but fun. Moving on to item 4, we have, oh, another crest. Trickster's Crest. Legendary item. Doesn't have a cost though, but it's a crest, so I'm a bit confused how that's legendary unless it's the final part. 6 physical armor, 50 health. Target a friendly minion and deal 30 true damage to it. Killing a friendly minion will grant twice as much gold and XP as an enemy minion kill. This denies the enemy laner from a minion kill with a 30-second cooldown. It's kind of a bit like Dota then, where you're trying to deny your own minions to the enemy. It could be interesting. Sounds cool. It adds another layer of the laning phase, because usually you don't really care about your own minions too much. The only thing that it would be quite a skillful crest to use, I assume, because it's 30 true damage, which isn't a great deal. I assume, I can't remember, but I assume the HP bar of the minion turns red for the enemy before 30 damage, so you would have to really try to steal it or use it when they're not in lane. But it does sound interesting. Again, I do like when things add a layer that isn't there otherwise, because you don't really have minion denial in Pred at the minute. You can keep them away from it, but you can't outright deny it. So I kind of like that. Moving on to item 5, we have Omniscient Potion, I think. Yeah. Omniscient Potion. 600 gold and straight to the point, 1 active. Wait, oh, okay. You gain vision on all enemy heroes for 5 seconds. That is actually strong, but kind of balanced with the gold cost, because that's quite a lot of gold, and you might just end up seeing the enemies at base having a little party. So you really kind of have to like weigh up the cost of, do I want to spend 600 gold? Can I afford it? Will it put me behind? But at the same time, if they go and do like Orb Prime or Fangtooth, and it's like, you know, 3+ Fangtooth where it's really worth it, you could press the button to activate this and be like, oh shit, we need to go. And then you can actually get something worth out of it potentially. So I like the idea. It could be very strong, but it could also be very weak, which for the gold cost is where you would kind of have to flip a coin and say, is it worth me using it now? So I like it. Moving on to item 6, and we have Storm Dancer. Ooh, oh, another expensive item actually. 3,200 gold. That's a bit of a chonker. And we also have 50 magical damage and 8 magical penetration. Passive is, upon killing an enemy hero with an ability, gain 100% movement speed. Whew, decaying over 3 seconds. Alright, Flash, chill down. Chill down. That common phrase, chill out, is what I think I was aiming for. But yeah, it sounds like a pretty cool item. The movement speed is very strong. That's really quick. Like, if you had someone who could already boost, like, movement speed, if you had a Narbash, for example, and then you also had this 100%, you'd be in their base by accident. You'd overshoot and end up in their spawn. But I like it. It sounds interesting. And also, it doesn't seem too, like, overpowered in the sense of what it actually gives you. It doesn't give you a lot of magical pen, and it's not percentage-based, so it wouldn't be, you know, too much. So it's a pretty good idea. I'm surprised, to be honest, at how good and interesting so far out of the 6 all the items have been. That none of them have been just cookie cut and just taken from another game or an item that already exists but just tweaked a little. Moving on now to item 7, and we have Shaman, another chonker. 3,000 goldaroos, goldaroonies? Money. 25 magical damage, 300 mana, 100 health. With an active, heal yourself worth 30% of your total mana and consume the same amount. Will use remaining mana if mana is below 30%. 40-second cooldown. that seems interesting. It gives a little bit of damage, like a decent amount of mana, smidge of health. Heal yourself with 30% of your total mana. One thing that I think could be cool to give it a slight more risk factor, because currently it kind of just, there is no kind of drawback to it. What if it could, if you ran out of mana, like if it used the total mana 30%, but you didn't have enough for that 30% because you were low. What if instead, once it's used up all the mana, it actually consumes some of your HP, but at like 50% of what it would be for the mana. So every mana it would have been is half a HP instead, as like a penalty for using it when you're really low. I hope that makes sense. It's hard to use words, but yeah, that's a cool item. They're all cool items, to be honest. I keep saying it, but I mean it. They are all cool. I could say it to all of them so far. 25 magical damage. Yeah, it seems pretty. The weird thing is, these are all fairly balanced. They're not terribly, they're not terribly balanced. They actually make sense. So it's kind of hard to pick which one's a favorite or which one's best, because they're all actually pretty good. So moving on to number 8, which is also probably gonna be like, oh, that's actually really cool. Again, we have Longstriders, an item designed to increase mobility of heroes. Stats: 15 ability haste. Okay, that's the first ability haste we've seen. 150 mana, 150 HP, 20% move speed out of combat, 10% in combat. It's not particularly strong in the stats, but the 20% out of speed, 20% movement speed out of combat and 10% in combat is quite strong, because more often than not, if you pick someone off, they're going to try to run or, you know, blink out and then run. That 10% would potentially make a big difference on some people, especially if you have someone, like I said before, Nabash, who can boost the speed anyway. I do like the idea of having some more movement speed items, although maybe make the 10% bit like an active, so it's got a cooldown, so it's not permanent. So you can get a boost while in combat, but you have to, you know, think about when to use it. The out of combat one is fine. Like it could be quite strong, but depending on the gold cost, sounds fine to me. I assume there's some form of boots by the name Longstriders. It's like some big leather boots or something, maybe with some wings on. I don't know. I'm hoping to, like, if I do this again at some point, I'm hoping for some more item images. I will probably make some of them myself, but I'm no artiste. Moving on to item number 9, and we have Switchblade. Another absolute chonker, 3,400 gold. These are just getting more expensive as I go through. 40 physical damage, 10 attack speed, 5 lifesteal. Is that 5 on hit, or is that 5%? Because it could be either. I'm assuming that it's percentage. It has an active, steal 50% of a nearby enemy hero's lifesteal, and gain 20... I assume that's 20%. Gain 20% attack speed for 3 seconds. 60-second cooldown. By the sounds of it, that would be really cool for shutting down a carry if they have lifesteal, because some carries in the mid to late game can rely on it to kind of sustain themselves during the fight and make sure that, you know, you don't kill them. So if you can steal 50%, it would potentially give you a little window to basically shut them down and charge the backline. So that sounds good. It's quite expensive, but I can see it working, especially if it was someone like Kalari or Chimera. You could just jump on someone and be like, yep, that's my lifesteal now. See you later. But yeah, that is all the items in part 1. I'm going to split the video into 2 as there were more items than I expected. Let me know what you think of the items so far and which ones you like the most. But I will leave it there for now, and I will see you for part 2.